BTB, what's up? All right, I'm gonna make this one quick, but today I had a rehearsal with a big band, and I haven't had a rehearsal with a big band in a little while, a couple weeks at least, because they sold the Union where we normally hold big band rehearsals here in Los Angeles. For the most part, they're at a rehearsal annex in Hollywood. But they sold the building and they're moving it. Because of that, the rooms have not been open, so we haven't done any rehearsals. But anyways, I did a rehearsal today with a different band, not at the Union, and I was reminded of this very important thing. And that is pacing yourself as a trumpet player, specifically if you are doing some lead trumpet playing. So I'm glad that we had the rehearsal because the gig is tomorrow and I did not pace myself very well during the rehearsal, and I was actually pretty chopped out by the end and couldn't make it through a couple of the passages toward the end of the rehearsal. Granted, we did do a lot of playing. It is very challenging music and there's a lot of high stuff. But, you know, excuses. It's good to learn how to pace yourself so that you can be as successful as possible in those situations, and here are a few strategies for doing just that. When you are playing section trumpet, be it second or third or fourth trumpet, yes, it is very, very important to match and play up to the lead player. However, echoing what we talked about in a previous video, don't try to keep up if you're not capable of doing that. If you're playing with someone who is very strong in the upper register or has a very bright sound, if you can only keep up with them for 2 or 3 charts and then that wears you out to the point to where you are not functioning, you are not able to play in tune, you're not able to play your parts, and in extreme circumstances you're not actually able to play, then you're not doing anybody any good. So you need to be playing at a comfortable dynamic, at a comfortable timbre, and as best you can within what you are capable of doing, match the lead player. But if you wear yourself out too soon, like I said, you're gonna be pretty much useless. Now, when you are playing section, this works for that, but particularly if you are playing the lead trumpet part, something that was bestowed upon me when I was an undergraduate student at the University of North Texas by my trumpet teacher, Jay Saunders, was learn how to articulate the shit out of everything. If you can tongue something very, very hard, or you can get an extremely firm percussive attack on the front of the note, then you won't need to play as loud. It's pretty late here, so I can't really demonstrate this right now at my pad, but the idea is that you want your articulation to almost sound like a rim shot, especially when you're playing in the upper register. The point of this is that it's going to help you cut through the band. And when you're tonguing something very hard and you're able to cut through the band like that, you can get away with playing at a mezzo forte or a forte dynamic, and the things that you play are still going to drive right through the center, everyone's going to hear you, and you're really going to be delineating the music very clearly because you're playing clearly and percussively and articulately, and it's going to sound real good. And you won't have to play as loud. And you're going to be able to play longer because of that. Now, one final strategy that I'm going to throw at you guys here is something that is sometimes referred to as shading. And if you go back and you listen to the recordings of Al Pacino, particularly the recordings that he did with the Bill Holman Big Band, I think, I'm not sure what the years are exactly, but check out In a Jazz Orbit. That's one of the earlier Holman recordings with Al Pacino playing lead on it, and this is a perfect example of somebody who is tonguing the shit out of everything and shading, using dynamic shading. And what I mean by that is that they are playing each note with a slightly different dynamic. So if the line is something like and the idea of this is that it's going to create a nice arc, it's going to create a nice intensity with the music, and you're also able to save some chops on a good portion of the notes and bring out the higher notes in the line, which is basically what we want anyways. We want the higher notes to sound ballsy, but if you play everything really, really loud, then you're just shouting and it's not musical. So check out that recording, In a Jazz Orbit. That is a killing big band record, and especially if you're interested in lead trumpet playing, it's pretty much like lead trumpet 101, so dig into that. So these are just 3 easy ways to manage your pacing a little bit better on the gig so that you can actually make it to the end of the gig. So if you're gonna go all out, all gusto, save it for a few key moments. pretty much the rest of the time, you know, keep it at like an 8 out of 10 or maybe even a 7 out of 10. And when you're sitting in the section, be sure to match articulation, do your best to match timbre, and play at a good volume, but don't overextend yourself, okay? Just a little food for thought there. I hope you guys dug it. I hope it gives you something to think about or just to remind you of, because I sure as hell could have used it. I sure as hell could have used the reminder before I went to rehearsal this morning. Well, the rehearsal kind of was the reminder. I'm going to take that reminder to the gig tomorrow, and I have a feeling things are going to work out for me a little bit better than they did today. So, I will talk to you later.